Now, Parliament has adopted an EFF motion to close the Israeli embassy in South Africa over the war in Gaza. Israel launched a military offensive on the enclave following a surprise attack by Hamas last month, which claimed over 1,200 lives. The Hamas-run Health Ministry says over 13,000 Palestinians, many of them children, have died in the fighting. Let's unpack the latest developments here at home. Bring in ATM's MP Vuyo Zungula, who joins us via our video link this morning. And Vuyo, it's great to have you on the program, sir. Thanks very much indeed for making time. You know, the kind of decision made by Parliament yesterday is only meaningful if it's part of a broader strategy, if you like, which will lead to the desired outcome. With that in mind, what do you reckon has to happen next for what happened in Parliament yesterday to have the momentum it needs to see through what MPs are hoping for?
Morning, Ayanda, and morning to all of the viewers. This is a step in the right direction because what it effectively means, it means Israel, which is committing war crimes and genocide against innocent women and children in Gaza, will be isolated. And this is almost similar to how the apartheid government had to be treated for it to actually fall. Now, I know a lot of people, they think that there is a permanent ceasing of working relations or relations with Israel. Whereas the motion itself, it is stating that there is, the ties must be ceased up until, the Israel stops bombarding Gaza and a lasting peaceful solution is found. So in our view as an organization, that is what the South African government must do in terms of what the president of the country has been advocating for in other forums. So we just need as a country now to mobilize other countries to follow suit so that you don't have a case whereby one country is committing war crimes against innocent women and children and you find that that country is treated as if it is committing something that is normal in the world. We must always, we must never normalize the killing of any persons, whether it's men, it's women and children. So in our view, this is a step in the right direction.
Yeah, the preservation of life being the most supreme principle that we should all be adhering to. With that in mind, Vuyo, are you surprised that there were some MPs who thought differently about how South Africa should move forward on this? Yes, it was an overwhelming majority, I think more than 240 MPs voting in favor of the motion, but there were more than 90 others who didn't. That is a very broad issue. I would cite a few reasons why other MPs voted against the motion. Firstly, you've got a couple of South Africans, particularly white South Africans, who've got dual citizenship with Israel. And therefore, this shows that having dual citizenship in another country, with another country, and also serving in terms of being a public representatives can never work in the best interest of the country because those MPs were basically voting in the interest of Israel. The second one, it is parties that are funded by companies, that are coming from Israel and got good support from Israel. That is another reason whereby those parties did not want to outright condemn the killing of children and women in Gaza. So in our view, this is a broad matter which requires that, number one, you need public representatives that are only loyal to the country, not loyal to South Africa and another country. And also you need public representatives and parties that are funded by people of this country so that you don't have foreign countries that are going to dictate on the domestic policy of our country, or foreign policy of our country because they are able to influence those parties via the MPs because of their funding. So that is why other MPs decided to vote. And also the last issue again here is that if you look at apartheid Israel, it is almost the same as apartheid South Africa. Therefore, some of the parties like the Democratic Alliance, they still have that apartheid division that we witness in our country. That is why they see nothing wrong with what is happening with what is happening in Israel. With what is happening in Gaza. Mm-hmm. So by the fact that the DA outright voted against the motion, clearly show DA and the Freedom Front Plus clearly shows that they believe in divisions, and most importantly, if they had the chance, they would equally perpetuate such, war crimes against Africans in South Africa.
Sure.
So that is the reality that people need to take note of.
All right. Well, you singled out the DA. Part of what they're saying, yes, they voted against yesterday's motion, but they're also calling for a two-state solution, which is a sentiment that's also been expressed by other parties in this country, including the governing ANC. Further than that, they worried that severing ties with Israel in this way will actually diminish South Africa's influence over this particular conflict. Do they have a point?
No, not at all. They do not have a point, because the motion itself is saying that let's sever ties for now. Up until number one, the bombardment stops. Secondly, you find that the UN process, Israel allows the UN process in terms of finding peaceful solutions is allowed. Now, you can't now want to introduce the question of the two-state solution, because the question of the two-state solution, it is something that has been spoken about for the longest time. And even though the two-state solution has been spoken about, you find that Israel has not stopped, bombing hospitals, bombing places whereby innocent children are there. So the purpose of the motion and the cutting of the ties for now, it is to ensure that a message is sent that Israel, you cannot be allowed, we cannot continue having normal relations with you, whereas you are committing such crimes. And the fact that this call has not been called just recently. It's been years since Israel has been committing war crimes against innocent people of Palestine. And it cannot be that now South Africa is going to turn a blind eye, or South Africa is going to keep on moving the goalpost to make it as if one day Israel is going to listen. That is why a drastic step had to be taken, so that a strong message is sent that South Africa will not have normal relations with a country that is committing such crimes.
Yeah. So we've spoken about Israel supporters here at home, but they also enjoy a lot of support further afield. I mean, there's support in the global north in the form of the U.S. and several other countries, but also within the BRICS bloc, we know there are some countries that are Israel-aligned, if you like. How worried should we be here at home about Israel's friends responding to yesterday's decision and that affecting South Africa?
Look, we should never worry about people who are wanting to defend a country that is killing innocent women and children. We are in the right side of the history as a country by taking a stand, just like many other countries took a stand and isolated South Africa that was killing black South Africans during the times of apartheid. Therefore, our view as an organization is that this motion or this process that has been initiated by Parliament, it is a process which that has an objective of bringing about peace, a process that is there to find a lasting solution to that conflict between Palestine and Israel. Therefore, if a person is against those values and principles of a peaceful solution to a war or a conflict that has been there for over 75 years, therefore, those countries are not countries that we should even be regarding as friend or associating with, because we as an organization believe South Africa must associate with countries whereby we share the same values that bring about peace, values whereby as a country we're going to use our influence, we're going to use our processes to make sure that we find peaceful, lasting solutions to all of the conflicts that are there in the world.
So what are you saying about South Africa's relationship with the U.S. then?
Look, what we need to understand again that with the United States of America, it is the very same United States of America that labeled freedom fighters in South Africa as terrorists. It is the same U.S. that refused, to treat or support, freedom fighters who are fighting for, their right to self-determination and freedom in our country. Therefore, we cannot be surprised when the USA is siding with Israel, because they took their stand and they showed their true colors back in the time South Africa was under apartheid already. So that is why, as an organization, we are advocating for a South Africa, number one, that is self-sufficient, so that when we relate with other countries,
We do not relate because we are begging or needing anything from them, because clearly you have some people now who are saying, because we need the economy or products or businesses or economic relations with other countries, let us turn a blind eye to all of the killings that are happening in Gaza by the Israel government, of which as an organization we do not agree with that principle. We are saying as an ATM, let us relate to countries on the basis of principles, on the basis of shared values of peace. And if a country wants us to turn a blind eye to all of the genocide and the war crimes that are committed against innocent civilians, that is a country not worth having relations with.
Vuyo, it sounds like to me you're stopping short of saying we should sever ties with the U.S. too.
No, not at all.
Right.
But what I'm saying here is that South Africa must be self-sufficient so that you do not have people that will blackmail the country to say, you need AGOA from America, therefore turn a blind eye to the innocent women and children that are killed in Gaza. We can't live like that. We must be, as a country, be in a position to call out any wrongdoing, any war, any genocide that is committed by any country. We cannot have a case whereby countries are going to use their economic status as a means of undermining our sovereignty and our ability to side with the oppressed as a country. So that is why our view as an organization that this is a step in the right direction. However, to make sure that it is sustainable from our side as a country, we need to embark on programs that will make South Africa to be self-sufficient, so that countries that have got stronger ties with Israel, and they would want to use those stronger ties with Israel to influence economically other countries to support Israel that is committing these crimes, we need to be able to withstand all of those pressures because we are self-sufficient as a country.
Loud and clear. Vuyo Zungula, thanks very much for giving us your reaction. Vuyo is the president of the ATM, also an MP, of course, in South Africa. Once again, Vuyo Zungula, thanks very much indeed.